from Southern Maryland's weather leader. This is a JB Weather Alert.
Hello and good evening. I'm Forecaster John Bordash. It's been a hot minute since we've done this, but we got some severe weather. We actually have something to talk about. It's been a hot minute though, so if you can hear me fine, let me know in the comments. Before we get too underway with things, and I'm sure if you all can't hear me, we will get a tirade of hundreds of comments saying that you can't hear me. But let me know. Anyway, while we wait for that, what I will say, assuming you can hear me, is that we have a severe thunderstorm warning in effect for parts of Charles, parts of St. Mary's County. And this is going to go here until 7:15 this evening. I see a lot of you are saying you can hear me just fine, which is awesome. So our severe thunderstorm warning, right, it is in effect for this orange polygon. And you can really see with the latest radar update where this storm is right now, starting to push into the La Plata area, right there along 301. And as we come in here, and I actually quickly want to turn the warnings off just so you can get a good viewpoint, a good vantage point of what this storm looks like on radar. Typically, where you start to get these deeper reds and those pinks, that's indicative of some hail, potentially getting up towards quarter-size hail, which is about an inch or so in diameter. And you can see where we might have one of those hail core pockets just north of Port Tobacco, just to the west of the Plata. And one thing we also note is that when we get a lot of lightning with the storm, that typically is indicative of a lot of upward motion. And that upward motion, there are a lot of scientific processes can lead to hail. So putting the two together, we have the bright radar returns and we're seeing a lot of lightning, does together indicate to me that we are indeed looking at hail with this storm that is moving kind of at a good clip, but also just kind of slowly moving through. We started tracking the storm and it was back on out towards Manassas, where it dropped hail upwards of 1 inch in diameter. It slowly moved down towards the Potomac River, crossing Indian Head. It is now moving through La Plata. So let me get you the latest warning text here with this severe thunderstorm warning. Again, that goes until 7:15. This includes southern Charles County and northwestern parts of St. Mary's County. At 6:28 p.m., a severe thunderstorm was located over La Plata and moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. Primary threats here would be 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts and hail, potentially up towards quarter size, which is about an inch or so in diameter. Damaging winds with this storm will cause some trees and large branches to fall. This can injure those outdoors, as well as damage homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees. Localized power outages are possible. Unsecured light objects may become projectiles. Locations impacted include, but are not limited to, Waldorf, La Plata, Port Tobacco River, Golden Beach, Wicomico, Hughesville, Mechanicsville, Charlotte Hall, Bryantown, Port Tobacco Village, Densville, Port Tobacco, Mount Victoria, Belle Alden, and Faulkner. If you're in the path of this storm, you do want to be moving inside, just getting away from windows to avoid any potential damaging wind gusts or large hail. And that large hail damaging winds, along with continuous cloud to ground lightning, is occurring with this storm. And again, you can see where this storm is, and if we were to put this just into a 1 hour loop, you can see how it's been tracking, slowly moving here to the south and east, now really moving through the Plata, about ready to move into Belle Alden. Let's go ahead and get a storm track on this puppy and get a general idea to see where this little guy is moving to. We note that we're moving southeast at about 25 miles per hour, and this would be a general look at that storm timing for you. Definitely not a guaranteed thing or a set in stone thing. We know these storms have the ability to pulse upwards, but also pulse downwards, so strengthen or weaken, and also wobble a little bit with their tracks. But generally speaking, we should see this beginning to move into Mount Victoria here right around 7 o'clock, Charlotte Hall around 7 o'clock, eventually getting down towards the Loveville and Oakville area as we approach 7:20. And as we get towards the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour, this might, if it can hold together, approach the Hollywood area, getting down there close to Leonardtown. And this is going to be a storm you definitely do want to take seriously as it makes that southward progression. Thus far, though, that's really the only storm that looks like it is going to be of an imminent threat here to southern Maryland. That severe thunderstorm watch, if I put this into a 1-hour loop, you can see that pink shading that at one time included parts of Northern Virginia and the D.C. metro area has been turned back now, indicating that that severe weather threat really behind what we could call a broken line of storms is diminishing behind. What we can call that broken line of storms, and that broken line of storms for us really is just that one storm right now that's moving into the Plata, but has a crap ton of lightning with it. I do see a couple of questions about people wondering about their backyards. Is this going to hit my area specifically? We can see the general track here, right? And who's to say if these storms can hold together? If I was able to, say that for guarantees, I think I'd be making a little bit more money than I do doing this. With that said, though, I would definitely stay aware if you are further down into parts of St. Mary's and southern Calvert counties. Again, if this storm has the ability to hold together, right? So if you are down towards Lexington Park, I do see a couple comments about that. Maybe down towards the Leonardtown area, Solomon's getting down towards St. Mary's City, I would just stay aware for this. Nothing imminent right now. We do have a couple of showers out there, maybe a locally heavier downpour. One looks to have just moved through the St. Leonard area. And then we got another one kind of popping in here to Newburgh and Swan Point. And so maybe that impacts the Chaptico area here in just a little bit. But yeah, I do see one comment from Sarah. We need the rain in Lesby, and everyone needs the rain. And not to diminish Lesby, but Lesby and southern Calvert County, parts of St. Mary's County, they're actually not even technically in a drought. The worst drought conditions are actually back towards the D.C. area. And I know those of you in those areas are going to say, well, no, we need rain. And 100%. The entire area needs rain. We've had an exceptionally dry winter, spring, start to summer, and that's by and large why you haven't seen me do these lives too frequently, because there's been nothing to report. But honestly, since the conclusion of last summer, there has been next to no weather in southern Maryland to report on, which is why this is like the first time in almost a year that you all are actually hearing my voice as we do one of these. I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy to finally have something to track. But, of course, we're going to hope for, not necessarily a dangerous situation here in parts of Charles County. Let's go ahead. I'm going to switch radar screens over here, and this should be the right one. Yep. And what I want to do, this is going to be able to give us a look actually at that estimated hail size. So where you see these colors here, these blues, the brighter blues, that's indicative of hail potentially over a ½ inch size, potentially getting up to 3/4 inch. So this program at least is suggesting hail is below 1 inch in diameter, but that's not to say that that's definitive, right? It's just a pure radar estimate. Let's bring it back on over here. Now, I do want to check the wind setup with this storm. Let's go ahead and bring this on over to our velocity mode. And actually, I do want to turn the lightning off here quickly. Let's get this to... Here we go. So where we can see, and actually I'm also going to turn off the warning so you can easily see it, where we see these brightest colors, these brightest oranges and yellows, that's indicative of winds potentially getting upwards of 50 miles per hour. That just moves south of the Plata area. And you can see as we loop this through, right? We move this through, it moves just south of the Plata through Port Tobacco, and now this really through here, and let's see if I can't just try to circle it. Right through here, and I don't know if that's the best color to use. This is going to be where you have the potential for those 60-mile-an-hour plus winds. And so if you're in the Denzel area, Allen's Fresh getting on over towards Route 5, right there along Route 6. Do be prepared for a quick burst of wind as this storm starts to move on. And let's turn that warning back on. That's the one I want. So do be aware of that. The good news here is that I'm not really seeing any real signs of rotation with this storm, which, I mean, honestly, isn't necessarily a given because earlier today we had tornado warnings up in the Philadelphia area, actually in parts of southern Pennsylvania, just south of me this morning. And then just a little bit ago, you might see this little tornado icon down here near Virginia Beach. They had tornado warnings with a observed confirmed tornado in that area. earlier this evening. So we have had some spitting in the atmosphere across parts of the mid-Atlantic. Thankfully, that doesn't look to be the case across our local area. The main threat continues to really just be those locally gusty winds, the potential for 1-inch hail, frequent lightning. So you will want to go ahead and stay weather aware. Nancy wants to know anything headed towards Prince Frederick. Now, not the severe storm looks to be passing to your south in Prince Frederick, but a couple of these showers might clip you. And yes, Stephen, it is good to see you all again as well. It's been a hot minute. Granted, my schedule has been more than busy getting through this first year of teaching, which, oh, thank goodness we survived. And I'm kind of happy that we were able to hold off any big weather events until the conclusion of the school year so I could track it. Again, people want to know updates on Lexington Park. If you take a look at the screen here, you take a look outside, you got nothing going on, you're not under a warning right now. But that's not to say that this storm in La Plata won't eventually reach you if it holds together, but y'all know the drill. We know storms in southern Maryland have a tendency to very quickly fall apart as quickly as they kind of pulse up. So if we put a 2-hour storm track on this little dude, let's go ahead. We're tracking this to the southeast at about 25-ish miles per hour. If this were to hold together, this would be a look at that general timing. So potentially getting into the Charlotte Hall area here in about 10 minutes or so. I'm sure you see the darkening skies, probably hear the thunder off in the distance. Getting on over towards Chaptico by about 7:09, down towards Hollywood and Leonardtown. Again, big caveat here is if it holds together at the bottom of the 7 o'clock hour, and then eventually maybe getting into Lexington Park there. I think that was Tawanda that asked. Potentially here in about an hour or so if it holds together. And then maybe down towards the southern tip of St. Mary's County by 8 o'clock. But we know that in really once you get south of Great Mills, you will have a little weather dome to prevent you from seeing any storms or anything. One thing I do want to quickly take a look at, though, is the rain that this storm is putting down. Let me turn the lightning off so we can see this. Where you see areas in green, that's under an inch of rain. Areas in blue, that's over an inch of rain. So this dude has already put down between 1 to 2 inches of rain all over towards Pittsca, near Pomfret, right there along 225. And I'm sure that will start to extend down towards the La Plata and Port Tobacco area. I do see a comment here from Melanie. It's hailing like crazy in La Plata. Let's switch gears here. Here's that radar program that we use to really monitor the hail. This is indicating hail potentially up near 0.7 inches or so. With this brightest color, but you see how that really is focused here in the southern parts here of La Plata, just north of Bill Alton. And again, that little hail core will have the potential to eventually move down towards Charlotte Hall and Mechanicsville. Should stay just north of Chaptico, but we'll see. We know these things wobble around. Hughesville, you might get clipped by that. Route 6, do expect, a kind of tumultuous drive there. And if we look at the hail history with this storm over the last hour, you see a tirade of colors, right? So where you see these oranges, that is indicative of hail upwards of over 1 inch. Yellow would be between 0.75 and 1 inch. The bright blue is 0.5 to 0.75, and the deeper blue is less than half an inch. So you see, this was putting down upwards of 1 inch diameter hail just south of Indian Head as it moved through Marbury and Pittsca, and as on its approach here into La Plata. And it looks like we might start seeing this storm start to pulsate up again. And yeah, we now have indications of 1 inch hail now with this storm as it starts to move just to the south and east. Bring it back on over towards live William Richmond Inc. radar. For those of you just now joining, good evening. I'm Forecaster John Bordash here with you in the JB Weather Center. Just keeping you updated on the threat of severe weather we have pushing into the region. This area here shaded in orange. This is an active severe thunderstorm warning for parts of Charles County, parts of northern parts of St. Mary's County until 7:15. Let me get you the latest update with this. And actually, we don't have a more recent update aside from 628, but we'll rock with it. At 628, a severe thunderstorm was located over La Plata, and now it's just to the south of La Plata, moving into the Densville area. And it's moving southeast at 25 miles per hour. Primary threats here with this storm: getting upwards of 50, 60 mile an hour winds, and quarter size hail that's about 1 inch in diameter or so. Damaging winds with this storm will cause some trees and large branches to fall. This could injure those outdoors as well as damage homes and vehicles. Roadways may become blocked by downed trees. Localized power outages are possible. Unsecured light objects may become projectiles. For your protection, you will want to move into an interior room on the lowest floor of a sturdy building. This is not to say that there is a tornado threat here. I don't think that's present as things stand at this moment, but just to protect you from those potential gusty winds and some of that hail. Large hail and damaging winds and continuous clouds of ground lightning is occurring with this storm, so you will want to move indoors immediately. Lightning, as a reminder, is one of nature's leading killers. Remember, if you can hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. So do keep that in mind. We do have a little storm that did pop here right off the shores of St. Leonard and Calvert Beach. That is now over the open bay and is headed on over towards Dorchester County in the eastern shore. So this dude out here, not too much of a concern, at least for our area. This is going to be the storm that we're tracking. Let's go ahead and put a storm track on the worst part of this storm, a 2-hour storm track, and take it southeast at 25 miles per hour. And that gives you a general look at that storm timing. Mechanicsville here in about the next 10 to 20 minutes, eventually getting on over towards Morganza, Clements as we approach 7:20, getting on over towards Leonardtown, potentially if this storm holds together by 7:30, and then maybe down towards St. Mary City as we approach the 8 o'clock hour. All the areas here shaded in pink, though, are under that severe thunderstorm watch until 9 o'clock tonight. So if you're in that area, or if you're in these areas, Calvert County, Charles County, St. Mary's County, Northern Neck of Virginia, you will just want to stay weather aware through 9 o'clock. I do see a couple more comments about is this headed towards North Beach. This is not. This will stay south of you, primarily focused on Charles and St. Mary's County. A couple comments saying that it's starting to sprinkle in parts of Calvert County. Yeah, that would make sense. So that's what I got for you. If we get any new updates here, I will bring them to you. But at this point, we're not going to get into any new information that won't just be me repeating myself. So stay safe, stay weather aware. I'll be here in the Weather Center throughout the evening, continuing to track these storms. And if we get any new weather alerts, I'll be back here with you live to bring those to you. In the meantime, though, I'm Forecaster John Bordash. Have a nice and safe one, and keep it tuned right here to JB Weather for the latest information.
Check the forecast anytime online at jbweather.net.